Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready?
The Trump campaign said this is just a distraction from the real crimes of the Biden family, which has raked in tens of millions of dollars from China and Russia and Ukraine. And what we learned in this court case is that the laptop really was Hunter Biden's. We knew that before, but this was just additional verification of that, which means we were lied to by those 51 Intel individuals that signed that letter back before the election, and Joe Biden, who lied to us about it, and NBC and CNN and NPR, who lied about it. You had social media individuals or social media platforms that were censoring this story so it didn't get out before the election. So it's not just about addiction and lying on a government form. This goes beyond that. The cover-ups, the money that the Biden family possibly made from all of this before the election, and burying a story so that you didn't know about it. You, the public, the voter, didn't know about it before the election, Brian.
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, out of everything on that laptop, it's absolutely insane that the one thing they get is the gun charge. Right. Out of all the unsavory behavior that's witnessed there, that they all told us we're crazy for believing, and it definitely affected the 2020 election. Also, I think it's important, this guy Kevin Morris, who's funding all his legal defenses literally out of money. How do I know that's not hype? His daughter evidently raged at Hunter Biden. You're taking advantage, you're taking advantage of my dad, who's writing checks for you. Yeah, your dad, his dad's the president of the United States. He can't write the checks, but some obscure producer who made money early on a sitcom nobody watches could empty his account for a guy that can't get off crack and obviously loves hookers. The other thing is, the big story is coming up in the fall is going to be the tax case. And what about the made-for-TV moment? I'm sorry, my heart does not go out to Joe Biden, who has to go back to his house and stand in front of his driveway and hug his son, who got convicted of buying a gun and having Haley Biden throw it out. While, by the way, an hour before, he was telling us the need for gun control. Who booked that gig for him the day his son is actually actually convicted of a gun violation? The dumbest thing ever, but smart to have the hug in the driveway so MSNBC has something to talk about. And they want to say it's no dual path to justice because Trump got convicted and he got convicted. It's totally different. This guy actually scripted his conviction 7 years ago. They made up charges on Donald Trump, and they didn't even tell us the charges until they handed it over to the jury. And when you come up and speak about a jury decision and don't like it, that's called an American free move to do. You're not being anti-American by criticizing a jury decision. Does everyone happy with the way the OJ decision came out? Are you anti-American by saying OJ pretty much got away with murder? No, I don't think so. So yesterday really bothered me because he comes off as a sympathetic figure where everything he's done is his own personal behavior.
You know, speaking of that, Brian, this is the media's reaction to that. Watch.
Hey, everybody, it's Jeff. Here. Hope you're all having a good week. Today's Wednesday. They call it Hump Day. It's a little cloudy. Some showers off and on, but the sun keeps poking out in between. So it's kind of a mix today. But you know what is also a mix is the minds of the Republican Party right now, who yesterday got a Pyrrhic victory out of Hunter Biden's conviction, and a person here at the Washington Post wrote an op-ed piece here, and it's titled "Hunter Biden's Conviction Shows There's Not a Two-Tier System of Justice. No one is above the law, not even the president's son. Hunter Biden's Tuesday conviction in a Delaware federal court undercuts former President Donald Trump's claim that his conviction in New York showed that the justice system is rigged. And the Biden verdict highlights the importance of strictly enforcing what few gun control laws this country has. The jury found Mr. Biden guilty on 3 counts. The case grew out of his false claim on federal forms he was required to fill out truthfully to purchase a gun, that he was not addicted to or using drugs. This was in 2018, a time when Mr. Biden was using crack cocaine, making him a danger to himself and others, especially if armed. The evidence of his guilt was overwhelming, which is why the jury of 6 men and 6 women, which included multiple gun owners, returned a verdict after just 3 hours of deliberations. In a case of strange bedfellows, Second Amendment absolutists want to strike down the laws under which Mr. Biden was convicted as unconstitutional, and Mr. Biden's camp has not ruled out such an appeal. Ab Lowell, Mr. Biden's lawyer, said after the verdict that, quote, we will continue to vigorously pursue all the legal challenges available to Hunter, unquote. The constitutional argument might well succeed before the Supreme Court. We hope not. Allowing drug users to buy as many guns as they want, clearly at odds with legislative intent and reasonable interpretations of the Second Amendment, would be a grave mistake that makes communities across America less safe. Like I said, this an opinion here that shows, hey, Trump going around saying, oh, they're all after me, they hate me, and the justice system's all against me. Well, okay, let's put that in perspective, okay? The person that pursued Hunter Biden on this charge was a Trump appointee, Weiss, okay? He was the district attorney that went after Hunter on this, and Biden didn't stop it. In fact, when Biden became president, he kept that man on, okay, knowing he was investigating his son. Kind of goes against the grain, doesn't it? That, everything was rigged against... If the Democrats wanted it rigged, President Biden had many opportunities to shut this thing down. He could have pardoned him the first day in office, his own son. He could have fired the guy, Weiss, right, that was going to go after his son. Okay? He didn't do that. He didn't do that. And 6 men and 6 women on the jury all came in 3 hours, found that, yes, Hunter was guilty. Okay? That really doesn't sound like such a broken system, the way Trump is trying to go out there and feeding his supporters that shit, okay? They're out there thinking that the whole Justice Department's after Trump. Well, they're only after Trump because of the crimes he committed. And if it seems like they're after him a lot, that's because he committed a lot of crimes. A lot of these maggots here, they don't take the time to actually read what's printed about this man, or to even, consider the fact that, if your guy is so innocent, why is he still out there committing crimes? Why is he so embedded in all this shit? He's not a nice man, okay? And Trump likes to call the Biden the criminal family, the crime family, but Trump is exactly that. Him and his kids, and the fucking, the whole thing, everything that man's done. I mean, you go back years, decades into the scandals that he had. This guy is a crime family in himself. Let me go over here some of the things that, in the past here, that Trump was investigated for and accused of, okay? In the 70s, federal investigators accused Trump and his father, both him and his father, of discriminating against black New Yorkers and renting out apartments. The case settled with no admission of guilt, but Trump has to run ads pledging not to discriminate. Okay, in the 80s, Federal investigators took a look into whether Trump gave apartments in his Trump Tower to organized crime-connected figures to keep his project on track. Trump denies those allegations. Separately, New Jersey officials probe Trump's ties with the mob figures, then grant him a casino license. Okay. Then in the 90s, New Jersey regulators investigate Trump's finances and conclude he, quote, cannot be considered financially stable, unquote, yet extend his gaming license to protect jobs at his Atlantic City casinos. In 2000s, federal securities regulators cite one of Trump's casinos for downplaying negative results in financial reporting. The Taj Mahal Casino in Atlantic City first went bankrupt in 2009 before changing ownership in 2015. In the 2010s, New York State sues Trump, alleging his Trump University defrauded more than 5,000 people. Trump is found personally liable. After Trump becomes president, he is impeached and acquitted over allegations that he solicited foreign interference in the U.S. presidential election. In 2020s, Trump is impeached and acquitted a second time for incitement of the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. New York again sues Trump, alleging he falsely inflated assets to mislead lenders. He's also under criminal investigation for events surrounding January 6 and his handling of classified documents. I mean, this guy, I mean, Christ, I mean, all the way back into the 70s, this guy has done shit that draw the attention of, you know, the Justice Department and investigators. And he goes around saying, oh, they're constantly after me. Well, why the fuck are they after you if you're not doing anything? You know, if you're so innocent, if you're not breaking the fucking laws, why are they after you? Why this history here? You know, why this fucking history? If none of this stuff, you know, if you're not doing anything wrong. I mean, are you unaware of the laws that are in play in this country as a businessman? You must be, because you can't do business if you don't have somebody like a company lawyer or somebody to confer with to see that whatever you're doing is above board, right? Especially when you're dealing with casinos. But apparently, no, it doesn't matter to him. He only wants the lawyer there to get him out of jams whenever he crosses the line. He doesn't care about the law. He just hopes that he can get away with it for as long as he can. And if he gets caught, well, I got a lawyer. And if the lawyer fails to do their job, then you're fired. Get another lawyer, you know. And he just, you know, this is a pattern of behavior that indicates that Trump is a guy you don't want sitting in any big chairs, okay, in political power. You don't want him sitting anywhere in that, okay, because he's not going to bring goodness to the table. All right, he's always going to look at things in a slanted view, and it's not going to be a view favorable to Americans. That's why, you know, people shouldn't consider the MAGA movement being anything but a fascist movement, because people in that organization, or whatever you want to call it, that cult, people in that cult understand and know this history that I just laid out, as well as, you know, as it's printed here. They know this, but they don't care. And they've even said as much, that they don't care about all the things that he did wrong, okay? They're trying to say, oh, well, our loyalty to him shows you that we'll walk through fire for this son of a bitch, okay? What the hell does that mean? It means that, you know, if he points the direction off of a fucking cliff, that you're going to go ahead and do that? You know, how does that serve your purpose by sacrificing yourself for a guy who's in it for himself? You know, do you see what I'm saying? You have to be of a damaged mind to take that stand, okay, and say that that's viable, that's a legitimate stand, to stand alongside somebody whose ulterior motive you don't know what it is. He's not going to tell you what it is, but he's going to ingratiate you with all kinds of platitudes and make you feel like you're important, and he's in there for you all the time. He's working against you behind closed doors, and you don't even know it. Okay? Now, you know, if you think Joe Biden is doing that, you're wrong. He isn't doing that. Okay? And a good example of a guy who's playing it as above board as he can is you know, the whole thing about his son, being convicted for those 3 charges. A situation that if Trump was the president, he would have pardoned him before it even got to trial. But Joe Biden did not. Okay, his only living child. He stands by the justice system. Okay, he's not going to break that. He's not going to, go against the will of the justice system because it's his son and he's the president. No. He allowed that system going. He gave his support to his son the best that he can, but whatever they found, he said he'd accept. Now, that's a whole sight different than Trump. After he walked out of the fucking courthouse that day after he was convicted on 37 fucking charges. Oh, the whole system's all rigged against me. Oh, this is the worst thing that ever happened in the United States in its history. He conflated the whole thing into this big, giant bomb that went off that he created. Okay? And because the maggots are so used to hearing him talk like that, they think there's nothing wrong with it. That they actually believe it, okay? But anybody normal who listens to this guy and him coming out like that, I mean, they're looking at him as a big, like a male Karen. It's like, why do you feel entitled to just sidestep the law whenever you feel like it? You keep trying to prove time and time again since the 70s that you don't think the law applies to you. Okay? You try to get away with shit all the time. People in New York City know him better than anybody else in this country. Okay? They understand Trump. That's why, in New York, he got the vert that he got because, hey, he's got a long history of criminality over there. So the thing is that the people that support him are out of their fucking minds because the things that they believe what he tells them is true. Okay? And the thing is they have to shut off their common sense in order to listen to this guy talk at rallies. They really do. When he's sitting there up there talking and he makes them laugh and he says dumb things and they laugh about that, he ain't really saying much. You know what I'm saying? He talks, but he's not saying anything that's really that important. Okay? He's telling you stories and he's telling you, oh, the goddamn teleprompter and oh, these people are fucking asshats. He's sitting here insulting people right and left. He does that on every fucking rally he goes to. He goes up there just to throw mud at everybody around him, okay? But he doesn't say a goddamn thing about what's he going to do for you. I mean, except, oh, this country is abomination, okay? It gets destroyed, it's ruined, Yeah, anybody can go up there and be a doom priest or whatever you want to call it, and get everybody all upset. And then turn at the end say, well, I'm your retribution. I'm the answer to your problems. Well, that's kind of what Hitler used to do too. In his speech, he'd lay out everything he hated about what was going on. And then at the end, he would say, well, I'm the answer to your problems. Vote for me. Support me. Okay? Trump is doing the same fucking thing. And unfortunately, there are people in this country that are going to fall for it. History being what it is, they didn't seem to learn anything from it. I doubt many of them even bothered to read anything about World War II or even understand why the fuck we even fought that war, okay? I bet a lot of these people don't even realize that it was World War II and not World War I, where we were fighting Hitler, okay? Some of them probably didn't even know we had 2 world wars. I mean, it depends on who you ask in the MAGA movement. That's what you're dealing with as far as the intellectual level, which Trump says he loves. He loves the poorly educated, he said. It's a lot easier to convince the poorly educated to do stupid things because they got no reason to think that, what's being done to them is a hoodwink, or that what they're being asked to do is wrong, okay? You could feel sorry for them, but being adults, we like to say, well, once you're an adult, you're responsible for your actions. So I guess if there was a crime, and believing a nut like Trump, they'd all be in prison right now because, but the thing is that, he is anti-American as you can get, judging by what he says. He's anti-American. He's not patriotic. He thinks the people that died on the beaches of Normandy there were suckers and losers. Okay, he said that. They don't want him back over there ever again. Okay, that country says you're not welcome here anymore. A lot of other countries said the same thing. Now that he's convicted, He's banned from going into certain countries now. Okay, what, 36 countries, I guess? That's a lot of countries that don't want nothing to do with Trump. Of course, you know, whether or not they actually enforce it, I don't know. I mean, he could land there somewhere tomorrow, and whether or not they arrest him, I don't know. The fact is Trump is not liked. Okay, and the fact that since he became president years back, everything that he backed up to now has failed. You know, the midterms, everything when he was involved in all that stuff, they haven't won anything. The MAGA movement, he hasn't brought them any victories in all these years, except for Roe v. Wade. That was it. But Trump likes to take more credit for that than, you know, all he did was put the jurors. I mean, all he did in that particular thing was to put the judges there to make that happen. But he himself didn't do it. It was the judges he appointed that did it. Okay, and they had to lie to get on the bench in order to accomplish that. So you see, right there, a crime. They lied under oath, and they went and did that. That's the only way he could get that through. The rest of the time, everything that he done, every campaign, every event, everything that, you know, during that 10-year period between then and now, he's failed at. He couldn't win a second term. Okay, the Republicans lost the Senate. All right. They're losing the Congress. You know, they got like 1 seat majority. The midterms were a disaster for them. They remember the big red wave that was coming, and it didn't come. Okay, Trump makes that whole party look bad. He's not a positive to the MAGA movement. He isn't. Okay, he's not a positive, even though they like to think that he is. Okay, but really, if they sat down and just think about from the time that he became president up to now, has your party been making any big victories anywhere? I mean, other than the Roe v. Wade thing? I mean, have you guys really, you know, I mean, and think of the idiots that you got in there now in Congress that are really, they're not helping anything either. And they're all like, they were loyalists to Trump when they started, you know, and now these people are just, you know, they're in there for themselves. So what has Trump really brought the MAGA movement in this country but one failure after another here? I mean, it seems to me like at this point, his supporters ought to be like, we should be looking for somebody else, because Trump just, you know, he's bad luck. You know, he draws too much negative attention to the whole fucking movement here, the cult, as it were. He draws too much negative attention here. You know, I mean, you got Fox News here yesterday going on TV saying that, oh, the whole Hunter Biden thing was a big fucking ruse to draw attention away from the bigger crimes that Hunter is not going to be prosecuted for, you know, the tax thing and all that. Well, like I said yesterday in my previous video, the tax thing was already settled. He was late paying his taxes, but he paid the taxes, the fines, and the interest on those taxes. Okay, he covered that years ago. So there's nothing there except double jeopardy if they want to go after him again for that. Okay? No, the thing that the Republicans want to get them on is this thing that's been going on since the beginning of the year here, concerning the Ukrainian energy giant there that's called Burisma, I guess, where they accuse Hunter of taking $5 million in bribes, okay, from this company, which, you know, Republicans have, you know, constantly cited as a driving force in their efforts to impeach the president. You know, they're trying to, you know, draw the connection between that. Well, the witness, supposedly, who was, the Republicans were saying, oh, we got the witness, he's the smoking gun, he's going to tell everything to all, was arrested by the fucking FBI earlier this year for lying. He was lying about the goddamn thing, and he's arrested, and he's sitting in jail waiting for trial over this thing, and yet the Republicans are still on this thing saying that there's fire there. There's, you know what I'm saying? And they can't prove it because Smirnoff was the only proof they had. And yet now Smirnoff's credibility has been shredded here, you know, because of, you know, his lying. And like I said, this was the case that the Republicans wanted to see Hunter tried on. And the fact that, like I said yesterday, they were all like, oh, you know, not really that talkative about the verdict and all that. They wanted to go after him on that, okay, but they couldn't, only because they couldn't put the case together, especially with Smirnoff sitting in jail accused of lying. They got to find some of the witnesses or some other evidence here to back up this story, this bullshit story about this $5 million bribe, okay? So, you know, and that was like, what, January? When all that shit broke. I think I might even done a video or two about it on here, but this was, you know, this is a way back, not, you know, a few months back. But the thing of it is that the case that you know, Hunter was convicted on is really not the one they wanted to get back at Joe Biden for, okay? You know, on the assumption that, oh, he's after Donald Trump and he's trying to destroy Trump, okay, which is bullshit. But the fact that they feel like they're under such attack only because Donald Trump draws the flies to him like he's wearing a coat of shit, okay? You know, because he's breaking laws all the time. That's why they feel like they're under the gun, is because the guy they back is making the guns focus on them because he's such a criminal. Crime family, you want to believe it, okay? I mean, a guy that spent all these decades being, you know, what he is, at some point is going to have to pay the piper, you know, and unfortunately for them, the time for him to pay the piper comes when they're putting all their hopes on seeing Trump become a president, okay? They couldn't have picked the worst time to back this guy. They'd have been better waiting or doing this sooner when he was just, you know, a guy that went bankrupt with casino. You know, it probably would have been better because he wasn't in such deep shit, you know, like he is today. But right now is a bad time to hit your wagon on this guy because he's not going to lead you anywhere that's going to be great at the end. And the fact that they're so pissed that Trump is constantly under attack, they wanted to get back at the president. You know, because to them, the president is all the evil and hatred that there could possibly be in their life. You know, Joe Biden is their fucking devil, okay? Even though the man's done a great job, you know, considering the opposition that's been constantly against him since he took office. He's done a great job, you know, and history will show that as time goes on, that he was, you know, one of our great presidents in this country. Trump, unfortunately, will not be looked back as that. He'll be the most controversial and infamous president we ever had in this country. And there's nothing that the right wing or the MAGA can do to erase that unless they just simply want to go around and burn every fucking history book in school. The fact is that, you know, his legacy is already made. And there's nothing that he can do to change that. People are not going to forget the crap that he did. No matter how bad the maggots want to shut down the courts or go after the president or threaten or do whatever the hell it is that they do, no matter how much of that they do, it's already set in stone, okay? And you can't unring that fucking bell, you know, that he's rung here. You know, anyone who was attached to that man in whatever capacity as a supporter or as a political aide will be stained, forever stained by that man's legacy, okay? And, you know, I'm sure at some point people will wake up from their delusion, you know, after he's gone, maybe. But, you know, the descendants of this period will reflect better on this than the people that my age or older who support Trump, because that's really who's supporting him. It's not really the young people that are supporting Trump. It's the older people, my generation and the older generation are the ones supporting Trump. Okay, because I don't think young people today are really as naive as some people, you know, in my generation like to say that they are. Okay, these are people who are growing up in a period of time which is very skinny, you know what I'm saying? It's very, how could I say it? It's not as robust as the times that I grew up in, okay? things are more difficult to come by. There's not as much opportunity as there was. It's so bad that the government itself has to come in and pave the way better for for the newer generation in order so they can get on their feet. So a lot of them are still living at home with parents, and it's just you're not seeing that Trump is actually helping them out, even though the people that are older think that he is. He's not, and he hadn't, and hasn't accomplished anything, and he hasn't done anything good for the right wing at all, period. I mean, he's actually shattered it into parts that MAGA thinks is fine. Okay, a lot of Republicans have turned their back on that son of a bitch, and it just shows you the level of insanity that goes on. That when they try to take what happened yesterday and spin it into some kind of a narrative, saying, "Oh, well, the Biden administration wanted this trial to happen and not the other one. This was a big ruse here to deflect attention away from the bigger crimes," which they can't prove. And the person that they pinned all their hopes on to, unzip Hunter's fly, as it were, himself is a fucking criminal and can't be trusted because he's been arrested by the FBI. Okay, so I mean, this guy, like I said, it's this never-ending narrative fight with no proof or any smoking guns or anything like that. It's just words back and forth, from the right wing, trying the most desperate way possible before the election to put as much fucking doubt in people's minds as possible, even though that doubt is unfounded, because it's all based on half-truths and out-and-out lies, okay? Even though that's the case, if they can keep people believing this shit until November, they're doing good. But that's all they got, okay? They've got nothing positive to offer the right wing, which is what they're looking for. The right wing is desperate to find somebody who can actually speak well of their party and of what they accomplished and anything, because the Democrats have all the cards, okay? They have all the cards. They have all the good reports. They have all the things that are showing everything is going pretty well in this country, considering we're just coming out of a pandemic. Everything's going fine. And the Republicans are envious that they can't run on that same kind of a platform. Instead, all they can do is throw their rocks and their mud and just hurl their insults. That's all they got. Okay, let's go to commercial break.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
What are Republicans like Rick Scott, J.D. Vance, and Mike Johnson doing in a New York City courtroom? Wasting time, wasting taxpayer money.
Just the unbelievable, just complete waste.
Are they in Washington, D.C., working to make the economy stronger, or America safer, or your life better?
No, no, no.
No. They talk about inflation and gas prices, but they're too busy cheerleading their leader to do anything about it.
Everybody loves me.
They should be in Washington, making the tough votes to strengthen the border.
This makes zero sense.
Instead, they're kissing Trump's ring in Manhattan.
It was not a good look for Congress.
They're not loyal to you. They're loyal to him.
It can only be my personality, that's all.
It's why more Americans are asking than ever before. Is this what we're paying them for?
Not in Washington doing their jobs. They're at the courthouse.
The American people are over it.
Fourth, 2018, after the Senate Intelligence Committee confirmed that Russia interfered in the 2016 election, 8 Republicans were at the Kremlin doing a photo op with high-ranking members of Vladimir Putin's regime.
Lawmakers traveled to Moscow this week on a Republicans-only trip to Russia.
One Russian official said the 8 Republicans were soft and that the meeting was one of the easiest of his life. Senator Ron Johnson even downplayed Russian election interference just days after his 4th of July trip to Moscow, and after Putin illegally invaded Ukraine and started shelling cities full of civilians. Ron Johnson went on Fox News to blame President Biden.
I don't think Vladimir Putin would have moved on Ukraine were it not for the weakness displayed certainly by the Biden administration, but also by the West in general.
If these senators were truly worried about Russia, why did they all vote to block 3 separate election security bills? Why did they cover for Trump when he withheld crucial military aid to Ukraine? Why have they all consistently taken Putin's side? Vladimir Putin has shown that his goal is to destabilize Western democracy. From Ukraine to the U.S., we can't allow his puppets to sink their claws deeper into our government. America, vote out Russia's Republican allies in 2022.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Yeah, so Jodie Foster, actress, made some headlines here a couple days ago. She was in Arizona recently at a abortion rally. And here's this article here. I'll read it here too. It's from the Washington Examiner. Written by Heather Hunter. Actress and director Jodie Foster spoke out about reproductive rights at a recent rally in Phoenix, Arizona, by saying, "Abortion is not a matter for just, quote, young straight single women," unquote. Foster helped begin the Vote for Abortion campaign and bus tour Saturday, The event was located outside the Arizona State House at the Wesley Bolin Memorial Plaza. Quote, it's not just young, straight, single women who need reproductive rights. It's queer people, it's mothers, it's fertility patients, and trans people, and rape survivors, and all of us, unquote, she said at the rally. So, you know, it's still on the minds of voters, and people are out there, like Jodie Foster, to remind people that, look, with Republicans, we've seen things being taken away from us, and their plans, their future plans to do even more, okay? And it's important that women make their stand now than to wait until it's too late, because, you know, as it is, I mean, as history has shown, it took a long time for the Roe v. Wade thing to happen, you know, and after that, it's been a constant fight to hold it, to stand that ground and hold it, you know, so that way it wouldn't be taken away. And unfortunately, through some deceptive acts by Trump and some lies spewed by people who wanted to be Supreme Court justices, they were able to get themselves into the position to kick that out from under everybody's feet. Okay, so they didn't do it by, say, like in our democracy, it's supposed to be this way. They didn't get rid of Roe v. Wade because of a consensus of a you know, our national consensus of a majority of people saying yes, get rid of it. No, they went in there on their own and got rid of that themselves. Okay, against the will of the majority of the country. You see, that shows you right there that the Republican Party, or the MAGA movement, okay, because you know, I keep saying Republican Party, but it really isn't the Republican Party anymore, okay? Those days are gone. I'm just an old fuck, you know, who's used to saying this word over and over again, but anybody born now and then is never going to know what Republican is anymore, because that's gone. GOP, that's gone, okay? It's the MAGA movement. It's the cult. And it's because of the cult and the MAGA movement that this has happened. Okay, it's because of them, and they aren't the majority, people. They aren't. They might be a third of the nation's mindset, but that's still a third. It's not the whole enchilada, and I have to say that, you know, for them to do what they did in the way that they did, and there's no accountability for it, or there hasn't been, like. Okay, let's just take the idea that these judges lied to get on the bench. Can't they be prosecuted for that, for lying under oath? You know? I mean, they weren't justices before then, so there's no ethical immunity. Am I right? I mean, if it was after the fact, you know, it wouldn't have mattered, but these people weren't justices yet. So lying under oath then, they can't be immune from that. From lying under oath. So wouldn't that be enough to have them removed from the bench, because these justices that Trump had put in there all lied and said that they would protect Roe v. Wade, because they admitted it's set in stone in their mind, that, you know, is basically what they were saying. But when we find out it ain't set in stone, because they removed it, or they overturned it. Okay, I mean, so like I said, the way that they went about doing what they did, okay, was very deceitful and very slick, okay? And that's not the way democracies are supposed to work. I mean, you got the MAGA movement out there screaming and hollering, democracy is gone, we're living under a dictatorship. Yeah, but who's the one that's out there actually acting like the dictators? It's not the fucking Democrats, it's the Republicans, or the MAGAs, the cultists. They're the ones that are advocating to have a dictator put in there. I mean, Trump just said, I'm not going to be a dictator until just day one. Okay, and they still clapped and applaud that. But yet, on the other hand, they're accusing Biden, our president, of being a dictator. You know, talk about two-faced. Why is it okay for Trump to be the dictator but not Joe Biden? You know? You see what I'm saying? Only a cult mentality thinks that way, because nothing that their candidate can say or do is wrong. Okay, it's everybody else's fault. You know, anything bad happens, it's them. It's them. You know, even if evidence shows that the MAGA's the MAGA movement's political figures, our hands are as dirty as sin. Even if it comes out, they just go with the idea. Oh, it's fake news. It's lies. It's bullshit. Yet, whenever their side talks about stuff and the other side points out all the flaws in their argument and all the holes that they can drive pickups through, oh, no, that's not propaganda, you know. You see, you know, it's that kind of frame of mind that gets people into deep, deep trouble, okay? And that's what happened in Germany in the 1930s, and, you know, is the people were bullied and bullshitted by one man because they were acting on their emotions, all right? They were living through desperate times that they felt could not be overcome unless somebody got in there that took names and kicked ass and, you know, and essentially just destroy their existing government, which he did. And as a result, their entire country was destroyed at the end. Okay, that's what they got for their trouble. They thought they had bad times. They didn't see nothing yet. After World War II, that country was like the surface of the moon. Okay, everything was ruined. Okay, their livelihoods were destroyed. They found out that, hey, we're not such a big power here after all. You got countries out there with militaries that are vastly superior to ours, and we just can't, you know. The minute the United States got into the war, they were losing ground all the way back to the end. You know, it took, what, months? But we kicked their butts all the way back to their country, and then we destroyed their country. You know? So, you know, what I'm saying is that it doesn't do any good to follow a nut because you're so angry and embittered and pissed off because your side is always losing all the time the fights that they fight. Because they're always on the losing side of every fucking battle. And they don't seem to, you know, think. Why are we always losing all the time? It's because your ideas stuck. They stink. They suck. They don't. The majority can't side with you. You know? It's like asking, you know, people to swallow piss. Okay? When they know they shouldn't. You people are trying to make us believe that drinking piss is good for us. But no, it's not. It's not. Okay? And the thing is you guys, you know, if you don't stop riding this train to wherever damnation it takes you, okay, you're never, ever going to be, have a popular voice. You're never going to be in the majority of anything. Okay? Where the majority of this country wants to go, you do not want to follow. Period. Which says you guys, you know, you're yesterday. The future of this country is in the hands of the younger people who want to go in this direction. Okay, that's tomorrow. And if you're not going to be part of tomorrow's future, then you guys are just going to wither off the vine and die. Like all fat should go, you know, it has to go. You know, we've left behind a lot of things in human evolution in this world. Okay, we've left behind a whole lot of stuff to get where we are. And you guys have enjoyed the benefits and the rewards of being in a civilized society, but you've been spoiled. You know, you've had it too good, I think. And the fact that you can't get your way all the time just indicates how childish your mentality is. That you've been given so much, you know. And it's right for other countries to say that Americans are spoiled because they see, you know, what goes on over here. And they say, why are they fighting over this? Why are they fighting over that? These are things that should be a given. Human rights and stuff like that. You don't kick somebody in the nuts over something like that. You know, they look at us like, you know, why are we like this? You know, especially with the gun issue. A solution that should be so easy to come to, we can't get to here because too many childlike minds enjoy their guns and they just cannot let them go. Okay? You know, they got to have it. And, you know, I feel like there's no way that you can take away the candy from the baby that isn't going to make that baby cry. okay? And boy, these maggots cry. They cry, they fucking cry, and at the same time, in their minds, they play this game of reversals, of trying to undo the reality, the narrative that's out there, in order so they can live with themselves. Why jump through all those hoops? Why bend yourself into pretzels, to try and be what you are when everyone's telling you it's wrong? Okay? Why do you keep doing this? I mean, if you're seeing a religious leader every Sunday and he's telling you to stay on this path, the guy's a nut. All right? He's a fucking nut, and I can guarantee you his lifestyle is way better than yours, and he ain't doing a goddamn thing to upset that boat. Okay? A lot of these people, they dress pretty damn good for being a religious figure. But if they're up there every Sunday telling you, to keep fighting against abortion and keep fighting to keep your guns and all this and blah, 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 every Sunday while music plays in the background. If that's what they're doing, okay, you guys are sitting in the wrong fucking church. Your soul is not what's up for grabs here. It's what this guy wants, what the evangelical wants. It's what he wants, okay? He's like the Jim Jones or the Alex Jones or, yeah, that's what everything they do is for themselves, okay? The big elaborate buildings that they have these things in, okay, it's all for them, okay? And you guys are the banks that they're drawing their money from, okay? Every Sunday, you're being suckered. Trump likes to talk about suckers and idiots and stuff. Well, you guys, you're not showing any brains there either. I mean, you think that's what that's what's bad, but you guys are more of a sucker than what Trump is calling suckers. Okay, at least those people who died on the beaches of Normandy died for a higher cause. Okay, in service of their country, in service to man, in service to freedom. Okay, in service to civility. These people will always forever be honored by those that walk this earth today, that war was fought, because had it not been fought, had the United States stayed out of this war, the world would be dominated by just one country, okay, and it ain't the United States. All right, they would have it would have fell upon every country in the world to rise up against it, and it would have been a major mess, to try to undo the grip from their own countries, as well as help to undo the grip to others. So what Trump says offhand, off the cuff, not only shows how disrespectful and how mean-spirited he is, but it shows the level of stupidity, And, I can't see how a guy who grew up in privilege as he did, with all the money, could have got the best education in the world, could come to that conclusion after all this time, I mean, talk about spoiled. I mean, a guy like that, how does that happen? You would think that children from a rich family would be the smartest people on the planet because their parents are just sure that they got the best education money could buy. It doesn't really work that way, does it? It all depends on the mentality of the parents that are bringing that kid up, the values that the parents, make an example of in the family, what the kids learn from the parents. So the parents must have been pretty fucking, messed up. His parents, his father, Fred there, and they had to be pretty messed up if that's what he learned. But then how do you explain his brother? His brother, didn't go that way. So I don't know. I guess it has to be something to do with Trump's brain. Just didn't fire on all thrusters, It just, he just grew up with an undiagnosed problem. And here we got a system that's supposed to protect us from such individuals becoming leaders, just somehow slipped through the cracks, and became president and at the same time managed to pick up some idiots along the way that call themselves a MAGA movement. And now, here he is today, this broken individual with a mental problem who has become the front runner for the Republican Party, or what's left of it, as president for a second time, as if one wasn't enough to prove that the guy couldn't do his job. No, we got to do it all over again. It's like jumping off a cliff and saying, "Yeehaw! Let's do it again!" I mean, isn't that kind of what MAGA's doing here? So I don't know. Like I said, it's a very, from yesterday to today, the Republicans are scrambling to try to find some way to keep the interest or the anger alive inside the MAGA movement to keep Biden on the coals. Okay, and right now, the narrative they're pushing out there is that yesterday's conviction was a smokescreen. It's a diversion. It wasn't meant to be. It was what Biden wanted, what the president wanted. He wanted to have his son convicted on the small thing like that, even though he could be looking at 20 years in prison, right? They're trying to say that was a small thing. Okay, those charges carry some hefty penalties. But he's trying to say, they're trying to say that Biden wanted his son to answer for those things so that way he won't have to answer for any other thing. Really? I mean, you think just because he goes to prison, that they later can't go back and charge him with a whole new crime? I mean, that's not how it works. Just because you're in prison doesn't mean they can't come back at you for more crimes that you committed that aren't related to the original conviction. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any sense. Okay? The whole thing doesn't make any sense. When his father could have just did this and said, I pardon you. That could have been over and done with. If they thought Biden was that dubious and that, scandalous, he could have done that. But he didn't. He followed behind the Justice Department all along and didn't throw his fat around to try to push any buttons to make sure that his son didn't get his only son, okay, because his other kids passed away, but his last surviving child, he didn't fucking do anything to protect him from going to being convicted, and he could have. He could have exercised his presidential authority and just stopped that right dead in its tracks. He could have done that, but he didn't, okay? So that blows the fucking theory out of the water that the Republicans are trying to push right now to everybody, that, it was Biden was behind that. He wanted his son convicted to avoid the bigger problem, Really. That's laughable. Now, I'll tell you what it is. What it really is that they can't defend Trump for saying that, the justice system it's a two-tier system, and they're after, that narrative itself was blown out of the fucking water yesterday. We just proved to them that the Democrats are not rigging the fucking game here, okay? But even though they are all the time when Trump is around, they can't defend Trump now because of what he says. And if Trump keeps talking and saying that over and over again, how is he going to prove it? Essentially, how he's just going to be doubted every time he says that. So his own tirade now has been blown out of the fucking water, So it's really crazy how this is playing out here this week. No Democrat thought that that Hunter was going to get away with the case. Okay, everybody said he'd get found guilty because the evidence was overwhelming. Okay, just like it was against Trump when in his case, it was overwhelming. And then you get two different reactions at the end of these cases. You get the Trump reaction, which was the whole system's fucked and it's all against me, and this is the worst thing to happen in history of the whole human universe. And then this side, where the president says, I support my son, and I respect the decision the jury made, and whatever Hunter's lawyers feel they need to do, I support that too. Two different reactions. How can they be so opposite? Well, it's all about the kind of men that we're dealing with here. You have one guy who's obviously stands and believes in the system of justice that our country has, okay, when he believes in democracy, and the other side who doesn't. That's how you explain it. All right, so that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Subscribe, comment, and share, and keep your ears open for any health matters out there, and treat each other kindly, and you know, respect each other's space, and enjoy the weather. So take care, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.